You ever have one of those nights where the world feels like it's stacked against you, like the sky itself is dumping all its weight on your shoulders? That's where Henry was, stranded on a lonesome stretch of Route 17, rain pounding his old Chevy truck like it had a personal grudge. Henry, a 70-year-old widower, farmer his whole life, was soaked to the bone, staring at a dead engine, whispering to his truck named Clara after his wife, who'd been gone 3 years now. Come on, girl, don't quit on me tonight. The storm was relentless, sheets of water blurring the highway, lightning cracking like a whip. Henry, hands gnarled from years of plowing fields, fumbled under the hood, arthritis screaming with every move. Cars flew by, their headlights slicing through the dark, not one slowing down. He was invisible out there, just an old man and his broken-down truck, the kind of scene folks drive past without a second thought. He muttered, half to Clara, half to himself, "Just get me home, please." That's when he saw headlights slow too slow. His stomach knotted. A jacked-up pickup rolled up, bass thumping, 3 guys inside, young, cocky, maybe 25, 26. They leaned out, cigarette smoke curling in the rain. "Yo, Pops," one yelled, voice sharp as broken glass. "Your jalopy finally give up the ghost." Laughter exploded from the cab, mean and jagged. Another guy chucked an empty beer can, and it skidded across the wet asphalt, splashing Henry's boots. Henry kept his head down, hands buried in the engine, pretending he didn't hear them. But they weren't done. They climbed out, boots sloshing, circling him like vultures. "This your ride, old man? Looks like it belongs in a museum." One sneered, kicking the rusted fender. The tallest one, with a smirk that could curdle milk, leaned in close. "Bet you're wishing you stayed home tonight, huh, Grandpa?" Henry's jaw clenched, his heart pounding not from fear, but from the sting of being small, powerless, a man who'd worked his whole life reduced to a punchline. He gripped the hood, rain mixing with the shame burning his cheeks. These punks, they weren't just mocking him, they were spitting on everything he'd built, everything Clara had loved about their quiet life in Willow Creek. Then, a rumble cut through the storm, low and mean, like the earth itself was growling. At first, Henry thought it was thunder, but it grew louder, heavier, shaking the ground. Headlights pierced the rain, dozens of them, moving in formation. The punks froze, their laughter choking off. Motorcycles, at least 50, rolled out of the darkness, engines snarling, tires hissing on the wet road. The Iron Reapers, a biker crew known around these parts, pulled up in a tight half-circle, surrounding Henry's truck like a fortress. The punks' smirks melted into nervous glances. "What the hell is this?" one muttered, voice cracking. The lead biker dismounted, pulling off his helmet. He was built like a linebacker, gray flecks in his beard, eyes steady as stone. He didn't even glance at the punks, just looked at Henry, voice calm, but carrying over the rain. "You okay, sir? Need a hand?" Henry's throat tightened. "Sir?" When was the last time anyone called him that? He managed a nod, words failing him. The leader, Jake, his vest Reed, stepped up, checking the engine with a gentleness that didn't match his rough exterior. Behind him, the Reapers sat on their bikes, engines idling, eyes locked on the punks, who suddenly looked like kids caught stealing. One of them tried to play it cool. "We were just messing around, helping the old guy." Jake didn't look up. "Funny, didn't look like help to me. Looked like you were disrespecting a man who's earned more in a day than you'll ever know." The words landed like a punch, quiet but heavy. The punks shuffled, mumbling. "Didn't mean nothing." Another Reaper, a guy with a scar running down his cheek, leaned forward. "Then walk." Now, they didn't need to be told twice. Doors slammed, tires squealed, and their truck peeled out, taillights swallowed by the storm. Henry stood there, dripping wet, heart still racing. Jake turned to him, a half-smile breaking through. "Don't worry about those clowns, sir. World's full of them. But tonight, you got us." For the first time that night, Henry felt something shift inside him, like a weight lifting. The Reapers moved like they'd done this 100 times. One pulled a tow strap from his bike, another waved off traffic. In minutes, Henry's truck was hitched to Jake's Harley, a beast of a machine gleaming even in the rain. Henry stared, incredulous. "You're towing me? With that?" Jake grinned. "Stronger than she looks. Kinda like you, sir." The convoy rolled out, 50 bikes flanking Henry's Chevy like a royal guard. Inside the cab, he gripped the wheel, water dripping from his cap, and whispered, "You seein' this, Clara? We got company." It felt like she was there, laughing at the absurdity of an Allen old farmer escorted by a biker army. The rain didn't feel so heavy anymore. At a gas station 10 miles down the road, the Reapers pulled in, engines rumbling, drawing stares from locals. A kid inside pressed his face to the glass, whispering to his dad, "Who's the old guy with them?" Henry's cheeks flushed not with shame, but with something he hadn't felt in years, pride. Jake filled Henry's tank himself. Another Reaper handed him a steaming coffee. "Drink up, sir. Long night, but you're in good hands." Not everyone saw it that way. A couple of guys by the pumps muttered, "Trouble. Those bikers are bad news." Henry caught the words, and for a moment, doubt crept in. Was he naive to trust these guys? The stories about the Reapers weren't all kind folks in Willow Creek, called them outlaws, troublemakers. But then he looked at Jake, rain dripping from his beard, tightening the toe strap with care. These weren't outlaws tonight. They were protectors. Back on the road, trouble found them again. Headlights flared in Henry's rear view, the same jacked-up truck. The punk's back for round two. They sped up, shouting curses, tossing another can that bounced off a bike's wheel. Henry's stomach sank, but the Reapers didn't flinch. Jake raised a hand, and the convoy tightened, engines roaring louder, forming a wall around Henry's truck. The punks tried to push forward, but 50 bikes moved as one, boxing them out. Jake's voice cut through the noise, calm but sharp. "Respect your elders, boys, or you'll learn what disrespect costs." The punks shrank in their seats, tires screeching as they fled for good. Henry exhaled, his hands shaking not from fear, but from the rush of being shielded, valued. They reached Henry's farmhouse just past midnight, the porch light flickering like a beacon. The Reapers parked in neat rows, engines falling silent. Henry climbed out, his knees stiff, and faced Jake. "I don't know how to thank you boys," he said, voice cracking. Jake shook his head. "No thanks needed, sir. We just did what's right." Henry's eyes burned. "World don't do this no more. Forgets folks like me." Jake put a hand on his shoulder. "Not tonight, it didn't. Tonight, you rode with us." 3 days later, Henry was on his porch, coffee in hand, when he heard that familiar rumble. 10 bikes this time, not 50, but enough to make his heart skip. Jake pulled up, grinning. "Truck holding up, sir?" Henry chuckled. "Better than me, I reckon." They brought groceries, a new battery for the Chevy, even fixed his sagging fence. "Family looks out for family," Jake said. That word family hit Henry like a warm wind. He hadn't heard it since Clara's funeral, when his kids left for their big city lives, leaving him alone in Willow Creek. His neighbor, Mrs. Carter, wasn't so warm. She marched over, arms crossed. "Henry, you can't let those bikers hang around. They'll bring trouble." Henry's smile faded. "They saved me, Ellen." She scoffed. "You'll see. They're no good." Doubt gnawed at him that night. But he thought of Clara, how she'd always said, "Henry, trust what you see, not what folks whisper." He chose to trust the Reapers. A week later, a letter came from Jake. Rough handwriting, simple words. "Henry, you rode with us once. Ride again. Family gathering this weekend. We'll pick you up." Henry hesitated, was no biker, just an old farmer. But Clara's voice echoed, "Keep saying yes to life." So when the bikes rolled up that Saturday, Henry was ready, flannel pressed, hair combed. Jake handed him a helmet. "Let's ride, sir." The wind hit Henry's face like freedom, tears stinging as they roared to a clearing outside town. A bonfire blazed, dozens of Reapers laughing, sharing food. They welcomed Henry like one of their own, clapping his back, handing him coffee strong enough to wake the dead. Around the fire, a young biker called out, "Jake, let's hear the old man's story." Henry froze, but their eyes were kind, waiting. He cleared his throat. "Clara, my wife, she's been gone 3 years. This farm, this truck, it's all I got left of her. That night you showed up, I was invisible. You made me seen again." Silence fell, not heavy, but warm. Jake raised his cup. "To Clara." 50 voices echoed. "To Clara." Henry's tears fell, but they weren't grief, they were love, carried forward. Jake slipped away, returning with a leather vest, a winged skull patched on the back, honorary stitched across the chest. Henry's hands shook. "I can't take this." Jake's eyes held his. "You already did, the night we towed you home." The Reapers cheered as Henry slipped it on, the weight like an embrace. For the first time since Clara, he felt alive, part of something bigger. The next morning, they rode him home, 50 bikes shaking the earth. Mrs. Carter gaped from her porch. Henry met her eyes, vest gleaming. They're not trouble, Ellen. They're family. He hung the vest by Clara's photo, whispering, "You'd have loved this, sweetheart." That night, under the stars, Henry felt peace. The world hadn't forgotten him. It had sent him guardians, rough as leather, strong as steel. Now, I gotta ask, what do you think? Was Henry naive to trust the Reapers, or did they prove the world wrong? Drop a comment. Tell me your take. Have you ever been judged for who you stood with? Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's keep these stories rolling. Life's messy, but sometimes it's the outcasts who show us what family really means.